Hello, how are you? Well, this is Edith Newmeyer, and I just came from a hike and my nose is running still. But anyways, I'm going to talk about Revelation 20 today, and more specifically, Revelation 24. Or 4 to, let's see, 6, because I'm going to look at two groups today. There, the Bible talks about two groups of people, and I think they're people. The ones that are sitting on the thrones, and the ones that had to get the mark of the beast or be beheaded. So there's two groups there. We need to understand who these two groups are. Lots of people are very confused, and especially those people who do not believe that the rapture will happen before the wrath. Okay? We're still believing there is something like a great tribulation. It's all false. I don't care whether you believe there's a rapture, because there's some people that believe a rapture, and then tribulation, and then there's people that believe, oh no, people get a rapture in the middle of the tribulation, and some people say, oh no, there's 3.5-year tribulation. No, there's no tribulation. The tribulation will happen before, with all the saints. After the saints are taken out by Jesus, there's no tribulation for the saints. There could be tribulation for the 144,000 sealed, but we don't know who they are at this point. They will be left over. Those are the foolish virgins. They will be left over after the rapture. After Jesus comes and picks up his bride, they'll be left over, and they have to go through the wrath. Now, people need to understand that, because I don't want anybody to go through the wrath of God. I want people, especially people who are saying, hey, I follow Jesus. Jesus is my Lord. I don't want those people to go through the wrath of God. I want them to be part of the bride of Christ. I want them to be part of the wise virgins. But if you don't even know who sits on the throne, how could you be part of the wise virgins? You will not. Okay, you will not. You will not be taken out by Jesus before the wrath starts. Now, again, the problem comes in when people believe in a tribulation, whatever, after the wrath, whenever. Okay, like a great tribulation, like a period of time of 7 years or 3.5 years. That's when it goes wrong. We don't have such thing. There's no such thing. What we're talking about is the wrath of God. Simply the wrath of God. The wrath of God will happen after Jesus returns, when the day of the Lord starts. The minute the day of the Lord starts, the wrath of God starts. But before the wrath of God starts, the holy ones, or the bride of Christ, or some people call it the church, will be taken out. They will go into the rooms that Jesus prepared. I have done so many videos about it, but sometimes there are new people, and so I have to let them know as well. So these are the people. These are the people that are sitting on the thrones. And then you have people that are going through the wrath of God, the 144,000 sealed. Now you can read that. You can stop the video right now, and you can read Revelation 7 first. So you have an understanding of who the two groups are that I'm talking about. Okay? I'm not going there. It takes too long, because I want to focus on Revelation 20, not 7. But you have to understand the groups. So because then when we come to 20, there's again two groups. The first group is sitting on thrones. Now, think about it. If you're in heaven, what people do you think can sit on the thrones? Okay, well, some people can say, well, how about the elders? 24 elders could sit on thrones, right? Yeah, If you have listened to one of my videos that I did about these, and I think it was Revelation 5, the 24 elders, then you know that the 24 elders are actually symbolic for the bride of Christ. So yeah, they can sit on thrones because they're symbolic for the whole, all the bride of Christ, the elect, the temple. All believers from the time of Adam and Eve to the time when Jesus returns for his bride are bride of Christ. All of them. Okay? If you don't believe that, then you need to check your theology, because you may be a dispensationalist. Because dispensationalists don't think that way. They think that there are believers, or people, the people are saved in different ways depending what section of time they were in. And I don't believe that. All people are saved the same way. Jesus Christ is the only one that can save them. Nobody is saved by works. Nobody. Abraham was not saved by works. Paul said that very clearly. These people don't understand Paul, and they need to read Paul. All people from the time of Adam and Eve knew Messiah would come. And then after he came, we know that he came. But regardless, everybody is saved the same way. And so these people that are sitting on the thrones, or these 24 elders, are symbolic for all believers. We are the elders. Okay? All of us should be having the Holy Spirit, should be bride of Christ. And that's what they're talking about. So they are sitting on the thrones. Nobody else can sit on the thrones. If you again look at Revelation, to look who John saw in heaven, it's the 24 elders and the angels, and this animal, whatever it was, or 4 animals, I don't remember. But anyways, there is nobody else in heaven. There's only the angels and the bride of Christ in heaven. Okay? And the bride of Christ, again, is represented by the 24 elders. Why 24? Because you have 12 tribes of Israel, 12 apostles, which are the founding fathers of the church, of the Gentiles, really, okay? The Gentile church. And that's it. That makes 24. So that's why symbolic. 12, I have said that so many times, is a symbolic number. When we look at the 144,000 that are sealed, it's again a symbolic number. 12 times 12 times 1,000. That's a complete number. Like the 12 tribes, the 12 apostles, the 12 months of the year, the 12 hours. What else? There's 12, 12, 12, 12. It's a complete number. God has chosen the number 12 as a complete number. And sometimes it's just symbolic. So if you have 12 times 12, that's even more complete. So you have the complete numbers of an amount of people. So it's not the name of the people. 144,000 is not the name. The sealed is the name of the people. That's how we can recognize them, not by the number. Because in Revelation 14, we also have the bride of Christ. The number of the bride of Christ is 144,000 as well. But it's, again, just a number, a symbolic number. But I am getting away from the topic, don't I? So going back, so we have the thrones, and on which were seated those who had been given authority to judge. How do I know? They have been given authority to judge. Many things. I have done a video in the past, and I showed Daniel 7, right at the end of the beast, right? The fourth beast. Once the fourth beast is destroyed, the saints will inherit the kingdom. Of course, Christ too, but the saints as well. But today I'm going to a place. I was studying Luke, and I actually found a place where it says that much clearer, and I'm thinking, wow, I was never aware of that. So let's go there. Let's go to Luke 22, where it again talks about thrones and who is going to sit on it. Again, thrones where? In the kingdom. Okay, in the kingdom, because Revelation 20, the kingdom has started. Okay, so we're in the kingdom of Jesus. Who is sitting on the thrones in the kingdom? And it says here, I'm going to start with 28. You are those who have stood by me in my trials. And he's seems to be talking to the disciples here, okay? But we are also standing with Jesus in the trials, because he said that you will fulfill the trials that were not completed in me, something like that. So this verse also applies to not just the disciples, but all believers, okay? All believers, all who stand with Jesus, okay? All who stand with Jesus, who proclaim him and say, hey, we follow Jesus. All those, this applies to them. So you are those who have stood by me in my trials, and I confer on you a kingdom. Okay? Again, who is being a part of the kingdom of God? The bride. Okay? The bride and the bridegroom. They're ruling. Okay? They're also the judges. And I confer on you a kingdom just as my Father conferred one on me. So the Father gave the kingdom to the Son. The Son is sharing that kingdom with his bride or his wife. Okay? So that you may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom and sit on thrones, not chairs, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay? That's what he told the disciples. Now this applies to all believers. Okay? We will be sitting at his table and drinking with him in his kingdom. And we will not sit just on regular chairs. We'll be sitting on thrones because we are his bride. We are his wife. We are the queen, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, what does that exactly mean? Are we just judging the 12 tribes of Israel, or are we judging really everybody? Well, see, here you can have a reference. If that's symbolic, and you go then to Revelation 7, then look who is sealed. It looks like the 12 tribes of Israel who are sealed, right? I hope you're following me. Now, of course, that again is symbolic too, because there is no 10 tribes of Israel left. They're gone. They're mixed with the Gentiles. So why are they saying, oh, he is sealing so many of the tribes of Dan and tribes of Simeon and tribes of this? Well, simply because they're symbolic. They're symbolic for Israel, the heavenly Israel. Okay? And these people in chapter 7 who are sealed are also symbolic for heavenly Israel, holy Israel. Because Paul, when you study Paul, and a lot of people don't do that, okay? You have to study Paul. You have to study his letters, especially Galatians. Study Galatians. He says clearly, we are, all believers are Israel. Not the circumcised, not the uncircumcised, but both together are Israel, the Israel of God. So here he is addressing again the Israel of God, and we can think, yep, okay, since we know that that group of people that are sealed, right, are those people that we are going to judge in Revelation 20. So you have to make connections in the Bible. You cannot assume things. People usually just assume, and they go wrong. What you have to do is you pull information together. So in other words, you come across Revelation 20 and you're thinking, okay, who is sitting on these thrones? Who are those? Are these the people? Are these the elect? Or let's say, are those the bride that it has to go through the stuff? This must be the tribulation. See, people think that way because that's what they have in their head. Get it out, get this nonsense out. No, these are the people that went through the wrath of God. And you need to think who went through the wrath of God. These people did not go through tribulation time. Okay? Even though that sounds like tribulation. When your head gets cut off, you cannot buy or sell anymore. Right? It sounds tribulation. But that's not what it's called. They go through tribulation, but that's not what it's called. The time period is not called Great Tribulation. The time period is called Wrath of God. And these people had to go through the wrath of God, but the ones that are sitting on the throne, they were snatched out before the wrath started. And now they're in heaven waiting for the wrath to be over. These people had to go through it. Okay? They had to get the mark or be killed. Head goes off. You understand? That's exactly what happened here. See, before the rapture, we right now already are tempted to bow down to the beast and its image. That's happening today. But we don't have the mark yet. Alpha. But there is an image. Remember I talked about this image, this barcode? Well, that barcode, if you know anything about the passport, Europeans know it. They get a barcode and it gets scanned, and that's when they can go shopping or the restaurant or wherever. Okay? We Americans are still sitting really kind of safe and secure over here. At least somewhat. But in Europe, that's what they already have. So they already have an image of the beast. The image of the beast is more than just the barcode. It has to do with the whole technology. Technology is the image of the beast, like the computers and everything. That's the image. We don't bow down to the image. In other words, we don't worship it. We don't think that's the ultimate. We have to be very, very careful. So yeah, that mark will happen. It could be introduced before, but definitely they're going to push this mark after the rapture. And then if you don't take it and they catch you, your head will go off. So that's just the way it is. And that's why I believe that, because I'm seeing it right here. These two groups, okay? There's one group that sits on the throne. That is we, okay, the bride of Christ, that are reigning or judging with Christ. And here we have the ones that went through the wrath of God, and most of them, probably their heads were cut off. It's not very many that make it to the end of the wrath. And so now here, they're waking up again. Well, they are resurrected. First, they're judged. The souls will be judged. Okay, the souls will be judged. Those that have been standing by Jesus even during the wrath of God, they're not holy ones. They're not the bride. Okay, they're not part of the church. they now will be resurrected with an earthly body, not a transformed. The church has a transformed body. That's when Jesus came for his bride. Remember 1 Thessalonians 4. In a twinkling of an eye, our bodies will be changed. Or 1 Corinthians 15. That is a different story. These people don't get a transformed body. They're only getting a body. Okay? A human body again. And with that human body, they will live in this world and they will help Jesus rule the earth. Okay? You can imagine Jesus is living in the New Jerusalem. He will need some, let's say, ambassadors or even kings and queens in other countries. Okay? He is the emperor. And they are, kind of not co-ruling in a sense. I don't want to use that word co-ruling. But they will be helping him to rule the world. And those are these, because it says right here, blessed and holy are those who share in the first resurrection. The second death has no power over them, but they will be priests of God and of Christ and will reign with him for 1,000 years. Okay, so these are not the bride. These are people that will be here in this world, okay, as human beings, helping Jesus rule the world. They will be high officials, priests, right? Priests of God. So, and rulers. And they will give an account to Jesus. But they're not the bride of Christ. So again, going back to the first resurrection. Well, the first resurrection and the second resurrection. There's two resurrections, obviously, right? So the second resurrection, people, is the dead who are lost, the sinners. That's the second resurrection. Now, that's why I believe John only talked about two resurrections, because they are not including the bride. The bride has a resurrection, but with a different body. So that's why they are not part of these two resurrections, which are only with the body. Okay? Now, these resurrected at the end, the 1,000 years, all the lost souls, they will get a human body too. Why would they get a transformed body? And also these people with the first resurrection don't get a transformed. They are getting a human body. And they will have children. Okay? They will have children and they will repopulate the earth. So I think this is very important that we do understand that. So read these again. Go back again to Luke 22:29, which is really interesting to know who these people are. But really, if you think about it, you should know. There's only two groups. It is not any different. There's no, come on, okay? It's only two groups. Two groups of people. Well, actually three. But we're not talking about the lost. That will not resurrect until when? At the end. Okay? After the 1,000 years. And they'll be thrown in the lake of fire. We're not even talking about that. So, that is Judgment Day. That is compared to Yom Kippur. I think it's Yom Kippur, right? Yes. Yom Kippur. The Jewish feast of Yom Kippur. I'm going to bring this in right now at the end. That's when judgment happens. That's when the Jew says, are you worthy to be written in the book of life? These are people that have been written in the book of life. If you have not been worthy to be written in the book of life, you're going to go into the lake of fire. Okay? So this right here is that's when this feast will be fulfilled. Remember, I'm always talking about that Jesus will fulfill all feasts of the Lord. Okay? Feast of Trumpets is when Jesus is picking up his bride. And then Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, is when judgment time comes. This is when the people who still followed Jesus during that wrath of God will be resurrected. And the other ones, they will stay dead. It says right here, when the thousand, no, let me see. It says, blessed are those who are share in the first resurrection. The second death is not power, has not power, but they will be priests, God. And so this is a different, the rest of the dead. Oh, here it is, 5. The rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were ended. Okay? Did you see that? So read the whole thing. I guess I chunked a little bit around. Anyways, I'm coming to an end. I hope that was helpful. I thought it was just interesting. I was just reading that, and I'm thinking, wow, that is really cool. It's another proof who these people are on the thrones. Even if you're just thinking, oh yeah, it can only be those, only the bride that sits on the thrones. Anyways, it has a lot more implications, because the ones on the thrones are the bride. And how about these 144,000? Well, they are guests also at the wedding. Remember in 19 it says, blessed is the one that is worthy to be invited to the wedding feast. A lot of people think, oh, that's the bride. No, the bride is not invited. Okay, so read that too. And I don't remember exactly what it is. I don't want to spend too much time, on it. Oh, here it is. In 19:9. Then the angel said to me, write this, blessed are those who are invited to the wedding supper of the Lamb. And he added, these are the true words of God. Now, who is invited to the wedding supper of the Lamb? Who is invited? Tell me. Is it the bride? No, bride is not invited. Okay, because a lot of people make a mistake right here. Okay, they think, oh, the bride is invited. No, a bride is not invited to the wedding supper of the Lamb. The bride and the bridegroom invites people. Okay, so who is it? Well, it is exactly those people. The sealed, the 144,000 sealed, and right there in chapter 20, and we go back to chapter 20, go back to chapter 20, the people that were going through the wrath of God and kept believing and holding on to Jesus. Even though they will never be bride, but still, they are still going to get a blessing, after the wrath. Anyways, please let the Holy Spirit guide you always.